Okay.
It's just, it borders the Andrew Warren district, but it is in the downtown district.
Okay, good to know. I just did find that a bit curious, and the other reason I didn't bring it up, that I did mention that and let off the meeting with that, is we're also in the process, we just got started on the First United Methodist Church, just 2 blocks over. I applied for that permit, then this issue came up, that this was part of the district. I immediately called City Hall, talked to Leah, and said, wait a minute, what about this other church? She said, on that one, you're fine. So it's a neighboring church, and that one doesn't apply, so that threw me.
Just depends on how they drew the lines early on.
I get it, yep.
That's, the Andrew Warren Historic District is mostly the Woodson House next door, and then the Yawkey House, and then up towards the railroad tracks.
Sure. And if it's of any interest, the product I passed around and the product I held up, exact same 2 products going on that church as well.
Are there other questions, comments with regard to the project? So I guess the certificate of appropriateness would be for the project as proposed. Any further comments, questions?
I might have missed it, but what's the color that's been selected? Is it similar to what's there now?
It is, well, similar is a relative term. Was it classic cobblestone? I believe it was classic cobblestone. If it'll help, what I can tell you is it's not green, it's not black. It is not the color I'm holding. This is old hickory. Classic cobblestone is a combination of black, brown, and gray.
Okay.
And I have a flyer, I have multiple flyers, I can hand those out quick if you'd like. And if you look at the upper left, you'll see classic cobblestone. I'm about 99% sure that's the color, I should know that, but I'm getting old and I forget.
So hearing no further comments or questions, a motion would be in order to grant the certificate of appropriateness for the First Presbyterian Church's project as proposed.
Motion to grant the certificate of appropriateness.
There is a motion to grant the certificate of appropriateness. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second. Any further comments or questions with regard to the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of said motion to grant the certificate of appropriateness, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention? One abstention.
I just have a real quick question. Maybe I should have asked this before you voted on it. If I'm wrong that it's not classic cobblestone and it's either old hickory or natural slate, do I need to go through the process again? What I was trying to explain with it's not green, it's not an obnoxious color. It's an earth tone. I can't remember off the top of my head which one it was.
I think this would be more appropriate to the entire project itself. And I don't think that we've gotten into, unless it's glaring, I don't think we don't get into the colors as such.
I can't imagine. I know one of the colors they chose, it's not an obnoxious color. It's an earth tone. I'm 99% sure it's classic cobblestone.
Can I just say the 3 you mentioned are fairly close.
They are. There's not a ton of difference.
Is it
So
in the contract that you've attached?
I don't think so. I think it was chosen after the contract was written.
we already,
Oh, it's yours.
okay.
Okay.
I'm just gonna, for my own peace of mind, I'm gonna do a quick email search and see if that's in an email that I have. I don't think it is. Yeah, I don't see it.
That's fine, sir. The certificate of appropriateness, we'll sign the certificate of appropriateness. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you and thank First Presbyterian Church for their for their project in the historic downtown Wausau. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Last question, when would I expect to see that letter of approval, and then when would the building permit be issued? I think the second question I already know. Leah will cut that permit ASAP, but it'll be based on when they get your approval.
We can sign it right now and have it tomorrow morning.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So a motion to,
Excuse me, may I ask, will that go directly to Leah, or
The
because
build-
I'm going to be the one getting the building permit?
Yeah, I guess Leah would be fine, or Sam in the inspections office. Either one should be able to help you.
Tomorrow.
Yep.
so a motion to adjourn with this ad hoc committee would be in order? There is a motion, a second. We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good timing.
Two of them?
Yeah, Sam just did two, so that we can just give them one right away. A copy, so. So yeah, this will be our copy.
Do you want to give them to her now?
Yeah, Sean, just 1 second here.
We can give you a copy right now to take with you, or Bitsy if you want to take it, whichever.
You could probably just write the application on the meeting too. Sam didn't, but. What's that application number? Just gonna write that here. Thank you.
It is 6 o'clock. We call the meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission of the City of Wausau to order on Wednesday, February the 26th, 2025 at 6 o'clock PM. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of October 30th, 2024. A motion would be in order for those approval.
I move that we approve.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Any comments or questions with regard to the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is agreed, and the minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is a little bit of reason why we're here. According to Chapter 2.82 of the Historic Preservation of the Municipal Code of the City of Wausau, it is declared a matter of public policy that the protection, enhancement, perpetuation, and the use of buildings of special architectural character or special historical interest or value is a public necessity and is required in the interest of the health, prosperity, safety, and welfare of the people. The purpose of this chapter is to, one of the elements would be to effect and accomplish the protection, enhancement of such buildings and such districts which represent or reflect elements of the city's cultural, social, economic, political, architectural history, and then also safeguards the city's historic and cultural heritage as embodied and reflected in such landmarks and historic districts. So with that as part of the code, this commission marches forward to declare landmarks, why we have this public hearing tonight. The code goes on to say, the commission shall have the following powers and duties: to investigate and recommend to the Common Council the adoption of ordinances designating areas as historic districts, to investigate and recommend the designation of landmarks and historic sites within the city. So with that, with that as part of the ordinance, this commission will be holding 2 public hearings this evening to investigate and to inquire with regard to 2 historic sites. The first public hearing, declaring a public hearing to discussion on landmarking the Little Red Schoolhouse in Marathon Park. We received, which you should have in your packet, with regard to the Park Department and Park, they reviewed it and they agreed with the designation of the Little Red Schoolhouse in Marathon Park as an historic landmark. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak to the Little Red Schoolhouse? Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to the Little Red Schoolhouse? Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to the Little Red Schoolhouse in Marathon Park? Hearing no public comment, I declare the public hearing closed. And the next item on the agenda then would be for the discussion on possible action on landmarking the Little Red Schoolhouse in Marathon Park. This would be the first step that is taken after the public hearing. The commission then would now perhaps entertain a motion to forward this on to the Plan Commission, and then that would go to the Plan Commission. If the Plan Commission acts favorably on it, it would then go to the City Council. So where this is really just the first step in moving the landmarking of the Little Red Schoolhouse to final approval by the City Council. So with that, I will entertain a motion to declare the Little Red Schoolhouse a local landmark.
I move that we agree to push forward the landmarking of the Little Red Schoolhouse within Marathon Park.
Is there a second? I'll second it. There is a second. Any comments or questions? Yes, Brad.
Just to add to Gary's explanation of the ordinance, in the same chapter is the criteria that the historic preservation should use in doing that. It's really all about historic significance. It's not necessarily about age or other factors, but they're listed here, 1 through 4. You know, again, it's about historic value of the structures. And so that's what this commission should be weighing. When it goes to Plan Commission, that as the next step, they have slightly different criteria that we'll bring up with them, but this commission has these 4 criteria to consider. Thanks.
So there is a motion and a second in front of the commission. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of said motion to approve and move on the Little Red Schoolhouse as a local landmark. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is agreed to, and the Little Red Schoolhouse in Marathon Park will be moved on to the Plan Commission as a local landmark. Thank you very much for that. Then moving on to declaring a public hearing, discussion on landmarking St. John's Episcopal Church at 330 McClellan Street. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to the landmarking of St. John's? Your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Doug Ramsey. Address is 214 Fountain Hills in Wausau. I'm the senior warden of the Episcopal Church of St. John the Baptist, located just across 4th Street from City Hall. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few words. I promise I won't take much of your time. Our historic church was founded in 1854, stands not only as a stunning example of Tudor revival architecture, but also as a cornerstone of our community's spiritual and cultural life for well over a century. As the oldest church building in continual use in the city of Wausau, St. John the Baptist has witnessed the growth of our community from its early days when it was St. John in the wilderness to the beacon that it is in the vibrant city that we have today. The church's rich history is woven into the fabric of Wausau's development. Its stone walls, stained glass windows, and intricate woodwork reflect both timeless craftsmanship and the deep commitment of the congregation to create a place of worship and community. Beyond its architectural building, St. John's has served as a place of comfort, refuge, and hope for generations. Through times of war, economic hardship, and social change, the church has remained a place where people of all backgrounds have come together to find strength and solidarity. Our parish has supported countless charitable efforts, and our church is proud to host significant cultural and civic events. Our location in downtown Wausau is integral to our identity and mission, and we're very proud to be a part of the unique group of downtown churches that is truly a pillar of our community. Today, St. John's continues to be a vibrant center of worship and outreach. Our church provides a welcoming space for individuals and families, offering programs for those in need and providing opportunities for reflection and growth. Our legacy is deeply rooted in the past, and it continues to inspire and nurture our community. As we look to the future, it's vital that we preserve the historic integrity of this building, not only as a tribute to our past, but as a lasting symbol of faith, community, and service that has been at its heart for over 170 years. Thank you for considering the continued preservation of the Episcopal Church of St. John the Baptist. This is a treasure not only for those of us who attend today, but for future generations who will find meaning in its walls, its history, and its presence in the heart of Wausau. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Father Samuel Cripps. My profession is not well known for being short of speech. I'm going to try my best here. I did write it down this time. I am the 14th rector of the Episcopal Church of St. John the Baptist. Bit of history. Our Anglican tradition first came to Wisconsin with the forced expulsion of the Oneida tribe out of New York. And many of the Oneida were Episcopalian. And seeing a need to continue to serve this tribe, as well as provide priests for the New West, Bishop Jackson Kemper was named the first missionary bishop of the Episcopal Church out of New York and came to Wisconsin in the early 1840s, while Wisconsin was still a territory. He actually later founded my alma mater, Nashotah House, an Episcopal seminary and the oldest degree-granting institution in the state of Wisconsin. The first documented Anglican worship that happened in Wausau was on March the 12th, 1854, when Wisconsin had been a state for only 6 years. This early congregation first worshiped at the Forest House here in Wausau, and later we were given land to build a parish by Mr. Walter McIndoe in 1857, and our building was later constructed. We have been on that plot of land for over 160 years. The building was consecrated and set apart to the worship of the triune God by one of the greatest bishops in the history of our entire worldwide communion, Bishop Reginald Weller, the third Bishop of Fond du Lac. As Doug noted, the name of our original parish was known as the Episcopal Church of St. John in the Wilderness, but as Wausau developed from a small village to a vibrant lumber town, they changed the name to reflect the growing community in 1915, dropping the wilderness and choosing our current name, the Episcopal Church of St. John the Baptist. As the priest, as the pastor, and the head of our congregation, I feel that I can say with some confidence and clarity that we are a parish that are acutely aware of the importance of our history. Not only the history of the church built on Mr. McIndoe's gift, but the part that our congregation has played in the history of Wausau. A quick survey of our windows, which I would invite you to come see, and our plaques reveal the names of many of the greatest of Wausau's sons and daughters. We also understand that we have a responsibility as a congregation and as stewards of this building to maintain for future generations the oldest church building in perpetual use in the city of Wausau. As a priest in a historic tradition, as the rector of a historic parish, and as the chief steward of a historic building, I understand and value the living history that St. John's embodies in our community. We are not a bygone edifice to something that was once great, but a building and a place that has been a spiritual home to generations of Wausonians. A building that has baptized, married, and buried thousands throughout our almost 200 years of history. Our parish is a landmark, Our courtyard is a gathering space for our community, for all of downtown. Our building is, and I'm only a little bit biased here, a jewel of downtown Wausau. It is a testament to the history of our entire community and is a visible sign that history lives, not only in the ancient faith practice within our walls, but in the stories that surround those walls. Thank you all for your time and for your consideration, and thank you for your part in the preservation of our shared history.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Is there anyone else wishing to speak at this public hearing? Anyone else wishing to, I have to say this 3 times, just so that you know. Is there anyone else wishing to speak at this public hearing? Hearing thus, thank you. I declare the public hearing closed, and we can move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the discussion possible action on landmarking St. John's Episcopal Church at 330 McClellan Street. A motion would be in order? Yes,
I motion that we move forward with the certificate of appropriateness to make St. John's a landmark.
a motion to landmark St. John's. Is there a second?
I second.
There is a second. Any comments or questions with regard to the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is agreed to, and the landmarking of St. John's will move forward as described before, next to Plan Commission sometime in March, and then eventually on to the City Council. So thank you very much for coming and testifying to the historic nature and the history of St. John's. So thank you very much for coming.
Mr. Chair? Thank you. Good night. May I ask a question? Would it be appropriate if we came to the Common Council meeting? Whenever
Of
that
course,
goes through a vote?
of course. Always, public comment is always welcome at any City of Wausau meeting. Public comment is always appropriate. We always look forward to that, Plan Commission, as well as the City Council. Yes, by all means.
And just to give you a heads up, the meeting for Plan Commission is the 3rd Tuesday of March, and then it'll go to Common Council the 2nd Tuesday in April. That'd be the schedule that it's on.
Thank you.
Okay.
So thank you very much. The commission then will move on for some remaining parts of the agenda this afternoon. Moving on to item number 7, discussion possible action on guide to historic registries. Blake is going to speak to this. Go ahead.
Excellent. Thanks, Gary. So what's being distributed right now is just that guide. At our last meeting, we had discussed this kind of concept and discussed some of the language to include in it. So this is kind of our first go at the proposed guide. And to provide some context, this really was kind of, I should say, this was kind of birthed out of some concerns, some continuous concerns we have when folks come here when we have public hearings. So this is a little bit more information as far as Wausau Historic Preservation Commission and all things to do with historic structures and our registries, going from individual landmarks to all the districts. We can go ahead and take this page by page if you would like. So first, starting off, we got that wonderful little cover page, then going over just some general language that we were able to pull from the city's website about the origin of the commission, starting in 1975. Then going on to some nuances as far as the differences between local, state, and federal historic designations, as there are certain caveats with each of those levels. And then we have, following that page, it's just some kind of general questions that we get from the public about having their property on a local registry. So these are some of those general kind of questions that come up that pertain to individual property owners. And then going into bursting historic registry myths. So we were able to pull that directly from the WEDC. Has a wonderful guide that we're able to pull some of this language from, but we're able to tweak that so that it suits our local needs a little bit better there. So going over some of those facts and questions. and then going into the process of the application, how does it start, and how does it kind of flow through things. And then finally, kind of ending things with the differences between a historic landmark versus a historic district. One thing I do want to note is that I would like to strike that very last line, that we currently only have a Class 2 district because we don't know how long this guide would be in use and if there ever would be a Class 2 designation, currently where there is only Class 1. And then finally, just ending with some examples of locally designated historic districts and sites.
Can I ask a very basic question?
Definitely.
Is your mic on?
The one time I don't turn it on. Just a basic format question. I assume this is going to be a small folded kind of thing? Okay, that's what I want to know. I was afraid you were going from portrait to landscape, and that just makes me a little crazy.
No, that was
So-
just printing.
I figured that was the case, but I wanted to verify. Thank you. It's very nice. And it's good to have a document available to people to help explain some of these things. Will it be available online?
Yeah, so we'll supply this directly to the city here, so you can do with it what you may, whether it be a PDF, print it, however you like.
Yeah, we're redoing our department website right now, so we'll work that in there somehow. It may be a little bit yet, but we'll get it up there. It's assuming that it's in its final stage and there's no edits to it.
Well, there's one edit, that one.
Right.
That edit with regard to the only Class 2, because at some point in time, this commission may decide to have one of the districts declared a district, District 1. So I think that should sort of be always an option for us. Any further comments or questions with regard to this? To the Blake? Yes?
I'd like to make a comment. It probably is very obvious, but the back page really says what I think it should say, meaning the partnership between the city, the Historical Society, and then the other, I always call it Christine's Historical Group, but that, because I can never remember the name. But anyway, I just think the partnership that we have between the city and the other two entities is really important. And I say that because of my affiliation with the Historical Society and what I see one group can bring to the other two, no matter who it is. So thank you, Blake. Excellent. And I think it's going to be great because it will answer questions that people have and it'll just help us communicate. That's all I have. Thanks.
My comments, Blake, I think it's great. I saw it when it was all in a text iteration, so this is really delightful. And perhaps this is the millennial in me who hates any place that doesn't have a website or an email address. Is on the last page. These are just phone numbers and addresses, and so forgive me for just wanting a website and an
I was
email
about to
address.
say the same thing. Websites with hot links would be lovely on the website.
Is the question, I guess, is to the chair. Do we require action on this, or because I recall we already talked about it, we said it was a good
I
idea.
think we've talked about it.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is the final product. If you feel need to act on it, that's fine. Otherwise, we can accept it as printed with the one editorial change, and otherwise, we'll move forward with it.
If I find any typos or anything, can we just take that kind of, I haven't had time to read it yet. Can I just send those directly to you, Blake? And
So if there's any, exactly right. So if there's
Okay.
any typos or whatever,
Okay.
feed that up back to Blake.
But if we do need an action, I would move that we move forward with this with any noted changes and get this out to the public to help them understand what it is we're doing and how we work together with the rest of the community.
So I take that as a motion.
I so move that we do what I just said.
Okay, is there, that motion, is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Any comments or questions with regard to the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is agreed to, and we move forward. Thank you, Blake. Great product, and we look forward to using that to a full extent, so thank you very much.
Pass this down to Blake
We
and
need
then
to
pass it
thank
back to me.
Allison as
That's
well.
one typo.
So, the number 8, so we always like, I think now that we have the Little Red Schoolhouse and St. John's on its way for the rest of 2025, if there are future landmarks that we should be investigating and bringing to this commission, this is the time for you to bring those forth so that we can start putting these on the agenda, investigating and bringing their story to this commission and to the city. So are there landmarks that we should be thinking about? I know that we've talked about a variety of things throughout the last year or so since the tour, but now is the time to bring those forth so that we can investigate and bring them back to the commission. Christine?
Can we do another tour? That was great. It would be fun to do that again. I was going to reiterate with the changes along the riverfront as those move forward, and as they go along, it'd be nice to investigate a land, I know we had talked about it, but historic district along the riverfront from like Oak Island up towards the old well, I guess, are they still county buildings?
They are on River Drive.
On River Drive?
Well,
Sort of up in that area. So it's-
Washington Street,
Yeah, up through the powerhouse and so forth. Just along that way, I know there's not a ton of buildings right there, but there is some nice history in there, and there are the county buildings there, the buildings at Oak Island, et cetera. Just an idea.
thank you for that. I know that we have talked about that before, so we'll bring that forth. Is there any other suggestions for, yes?
I don't know the age, I haven't investigated, but just because it's by my house and I've noted it, is someone will know the name, the Lutheran Church right across from Old East High.
Emmanuel Lutheran.
Yeah, Emmanuel Lutheran. The age, to me, at least the original portion of the building looks potentially within the age, but I haven't investigated it, but I think it'd be worth looking into.
The history of that specific church is the ethnic, the Norwegian settlement was always been associated with Emmanuel Lutheran throughout pretty much its history. So that was always home to the Norwegians in this community. Anything else? Pardon?
The other one that we had talked about potentially to investigate was the grocery store at the intersection across from, I'm blanking on the name.
6th and Wausau?
Yeah, 6th and Wausau, exactly.
There was the other building up on 6th Street also, 6th and Chicago, I think I want to say. It's across the street from, well, that's 6th and 6th and Wausau Avenue, and then if you come the other way, Brad,
Gary, the old Chet's TV,
pardon?
the old Chet's TV, Blazing Gifts now.
Blazing Gifts.
That's
Sixth
just a
and
half a
Chicago.
block north.
That was Chet's TV.
What?
That's a half a block north of Sixth, no, I'm sorry, that's Sixth and Bridge.
That is Sixth and Bridge.
Yeah.
This one?
That
So
one.
this is 6th and Chicago Avenue?
Right.
That's what, that was Chet's TV.
Yeah, that was my business.
See, there you go. And I lived above it. The front apartment's very cool.
Okay. A few suggestions coming forth?
And I know we already talked about it, but potential downtown district eventually.
On the national,
Correct, yep.
the downtown as a national historic district. I know we're pursuing that, so we're in touch with the state.
Does anybody know what happened in the Park and Recreation Department that caused them to essentially approve of the Little Red Schoolhouse designation? Anybody talk to anybody there? Because what I'm thinking is that there's lots of other historic buildings in the city parks. You know, Christine mentioned the Oak Island, and that shelter down there is clearly a historic building. But if you go to Pleasant View Park and Forest Park's got a little park up there that's got some WPA era buildings in them, and we've never really tackled any of that. Maybe thinking because we might get opposition from the park department, but there might be a friendly view of that stuff there now.
I was having an idea when you were mentioning like the CCC buildings and the WPA buildings. Can we create a non-contiguous type of district where it's just like all those structures are considered a district, or maybe we would have to do each one separately? I was
I
just
think-
trying to group it together,
I
because
think
there
that-
are many in the.
I think they'd have to be contiguous to make them a district, but we could make a themed designation of individual buildings, you know,
That would be cool.
kind of along those lines. I can't think of too many others offhand, but Pleasant View over on 12th Street, that's got a very nice shelter building. Oak Island does.
Spring Street, I think it's Spring Street, there's one up there.
In Forest Park?
Yeah.
Yep.
That one.
Well, even, we've talked about the one in Marathon Park, the
The
The big kitchen?
youth building,
youth building with the,
Okay.
yeah. And
The youth building is not designated?
no.
Really? Oh. I'd like to put that in there for sure then.
Maybe somebody could do a list maybe of the buildings in the parks and bring it to the next meeting for consideration?
We may have to change the ordinance if we, and I would be willing to look at the thematic part of it. The Alexander Eschweiler thematic buildings in the city of Wausau are on the National Register. And there's the themes of Alexander Eschweiler's houses scattered throughout the city, as well as the buildings in Marathon Park. So there is the thematic part to the National Register. We haven't investigated the part about having a thematic part. I think we would almost have to create wording in the ordinance so that we can do that, but we can investigate that,
Well, unless you tackle them individually.
unless we tackle them individually.
Right.
yeah, I mean, the individuals would be the landmarks, which have a higher scrutiny than a district. Class 2, which we have, is only advisory, whereas landmarks is more binding, so
Right.
it's not a apples to apples comparison necessarily.
So, right, an individual landmark would have more enforcement with that. So I think we have a little bit of a list. We can start to, and we'll bring this list, parts of it, to the next commission meeting in March.
Hammond. Yeah. that gives me-
Anything more to be brought before the commission? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Motioned.
Motion, second. We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
There was a school.
Okay, we good?
Yeah.
I just,
You didn't want to bring up the school district buildings. You didn't want to bring up the school district buildings.
We should have said something.
I was going to try to drop some hints, but I didn't want to.
I don't want, or above city hall. Did you want this